Good morning again, everyone, and thank you very much to all who have joined us today. My name is Nishi from the TGA's Regulatory Engagement Branch, and I would like to start today's webinar off with an acknowledgement of country. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Department of Health and Aged Care acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. Before we commence the session, I'd like to quickly go over some housekeeping for today's webinar. This webinar is being recorded and will be published in the upcoming weeks from post-statement access. WebEx has a closed caption option within this system for speech recognition. If you wish to use this option, click on the speech bubble icon on the bottom left of your screen to activate your captions. If you have difficulty with your sound or hearing the audio, you have the option to dial into the webinar using the details listed on the slide above or slide on the you can see. We will pop these details on the chat very soon. As today's webinar is purely an information session, we do not have any time allocated for a Q&A session. Contact details will be provided for you to send through questions if you have any by the end of this session. We do, however, have a short feedback survey for you to complete, which we will activate towards the end. In order to complete this, you will need to use an app called Slido, which is an app integrated within this WebEx system. To use Slido, you can access Slido in 3 different ways. First is by clicking on the icon labeled Apps Plus, located lower right of your screen. Once you've selected Slido, this should directly pop up the survey tab, which we will activate later in the session. Alternately, you can access it through the URL link, which we will send through shortly, or by scanning the QR code to access from your mobile phone. Now, without further ado, I will hand over this session to today's speaker, Terry Dreher, to begin today's session. Over to you, Terry.
Oh, thanks so much, Nishi. So, hi everybody. Thank you very much for joining the session today. We're really looking forward to sharing an update on the TGA transformation with you. I would also like to begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people who are the traditional custodians of the land where I and many of our team are today, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. I might skip right into a quick overview of the program before sharing some short videos which will demonstrate the work that's in train. So our program, our overarching objective is here on the screen. So we are working to deliver modern digital tools that make it easier for staff and industry to complete business transactions and find the information they need. And these are the 4 strategic benefits that we're targeting through the program. So first and foremost, it is around delivering a much stronger external user experience, making it faster and easier for industry and businesses to do business with us, to engage with us and complete transactions. On the other side, improving that staff experience is really important to achieving that first objective as well. So making it faster and easier for our staff to complete the workflows and transactions from a systems perspective. We're also working on improved business intelligence and more connected and real-time data. And we have an underpinning challenge, which is the 4th one here, which is genuinely moving from legacy systems to new fit-for-purpose systems. So we do have quite complicated and often siloed legacy systems that we're working with. And so how we deliver the transformation in a way which transitions from those old to new and does it as seamlessly as possible for external users is really a key piece of the puzzle. And that is a driver on the delivery approach that we're taking. So we are delivering this program in stages because it is a really complex piece of work. But with that comes a really important opportunity to gather feedback along the way. So as we deliver each stage, we will be maturing rounds of feedback and engagement to help us prioritise the next stages of work, build out the things that we have released, and overall make sure that we are investing in the highest value pieces of work. So I might just skip to the next one. The program began with a period of research and engagement, and absolutely the feedback that we received from industry in those earlier stages is driving the work that we are doing now as we are in the build stage. And that is very much around how can we give industry customised views, how can we provide good visibilities of how transactions are progressing, and overall, how might we look at automation, checks, lookups, pre-population, any features that can improve the efficiency of the transactions we're seeking to complete. These are very much front and centre for us as we're delivering and building out these new systems. And hopefully you'll see in the demonstrations today some examples of where we've taken on board this feedback and are delivering features that, for example, show automatic error messaging, so we don't get too far through a process before knowing something's gone wrong. You'll see some of those as we share some of those demonstrations today. Just a quick recap on our priorities this year. So we are very much in our build stage. And we are focused on delivering these foundational components. So we think about these in two parts, but when you see them and start experiencing them, they will be all kind of joined together. And that is around foundation portal components and a foundation case management solution. So over time, the portal in its full state will have these sort of search, notification capabilities, identity management, user registration, organisation management, and payment capabilities. We will be delivering just the first instalment of that portal component this year, and then the underpinning case management solution. So this is the configurable solution designed to make it easier to manage submissions. So this is really the back end of the system. But getting this right does enable lots of additional features at the front end. So that's been a really important piece of the puzzle, and we are making good progress on the case management solution this year. We're then onboarding the first business processes to these new solutions to test everything is hanging together and, really importantly, get feedback. And we'll be sharing a little bit of an update today or some examples of the processes that we've been onboarded first to those systems. While we're onboarding some of those, we're concurrently doing discovery work and starting to line up what the next business processes might be. And the ones that we're looking at there are manufacturing evidence and the vaping compliance space. Both of those pieces are in earlier stages of discovery work. And really importantly, along the way, engaging with industry, our end users and stakeholders. So some of the points we're making today, we do absolutely join existing groups and share updates, and we have established an industry working group to give us feedback along the way. So I might just move to the next slide, thank you. Sorry, just on the, in addition to the build work that I've mentioned, we are still working on, and we won't say too much more about it today, but definitely when we visit existing groups, we're happy to share updates on the work that we're doing on the website. That is part of the transformation program, and the underpinning kind of integration and data work. That there's some other streams. We won't go to too much on those today, but happy to share a bit more about that in future sessions. So our mid-year release, we are on track to deliver those first instalments, and they will be just the first instalments of those pieces that I've mentioned earlier. And really pleased to share some demonstrations with you today to give you a sense of what you can expect. And the foundations that you'll see today are the foundations that we are building for all of our users, our TGA, ODC and other smaller cohorts, the same foundations for all, but we will be releasing those new features to our Office of Drug Control users first. And the rationale for that is that they are a much smaller group and they're currently largely manual, which means some of the integration work that we are still doing in parallel, we need a little bit more, there's more work needed there. So that allows us to have that time, and the size of the group will allow us to do some of the things that are noted here, really test the change and support resources that we have, enable further feedback and refinement before we make features available more broadly, assist in prioritising the next pieces of work that we do build out, test and finalise our data models. And so just to give you a sense of the different scale there, we have by sort of different counts around 100 to 150 Office of Drug Control users compared to some pretty raw data, but it will give you a sense of the scale around 35,000 TGA users. So we think that's a nice place to start and gather that feedback. I'll just move to the next one. So the demonstrations today, so we've got some videos to play you. And the first set, there will be 3 that will sort of play in quick succession, pretty much one after the other. they will give you a sense of what are the more largely one-off setup activities that we will be putting in place as users start using the portal. So that's around setting up an account using a digital ID, creating a client account, accepting invitation to join. We'll give you a sense of what that experience will be. And then in the last video, we'll give you a sense of an example of a form that we're building. It will be the medical cannabis license, which we know will only be relevant to a small number of people who are joining us today, but it will show you the patterns and the templates and the features that you can expect in forms from here and as part of the transformation program. So I will, as Tanya takes us through that, she'll sort of call out a couple of those components as she goes along the way. Just on the demonstrations, we are still all of the work that we share today is still work in progress. So some of the content we're still working on. There will be a couple of spots where I think Jackie will sort of note that's an area that we still need to add, but it's in a shape where it does hang together, and we hope it'll be really useful to see it. We're also working with quite large video files, so if it takes a moment for them to load, please bear with us, they will be coming. So Jackie, we won't see Jackie, but we'll hear Jackie on the next set of videos, and we'll play those shortly. Just a couple of points on those up front. So in the videos that Jackie presents, you will see that we are moving to a digital ID. We are moving to a digital ID as part of the transformation program. And that really will help us bolster the security and integrity of our systems. And we will be using MyGovID as that digital ID. That those who have been sort of watching the policy movement in the digital ID space will have seen the government's made quite a few statements recently around the work that's happening in digital ID, and really that will over time build hopefully a really robust ecosystem of high quality IDs, and we will stay in close touch with that work, and we'll be looking for opportunities there to leverage that. But we will be starting with MyGovID. And once set up, that is a reusable ID, which is great, and will provide access to multiple Commonwealth services. And Jackie will say a little bit about this in video, but just a reminder that unfortunately it's so closely named, but MyGovID is not the same as your MyGov account, so there's an important distinction there. You'll also notice that if you are a user of other Department of Health and Aged Care portals, you'll see some common features there. For example, the use of MyGovID. We are, as a department, looking at how we sort of consolidate and bring those together over time, but that sort of harmonisation is something we've really got in mind as well. I think I'll stop there. Perhaps if we could play the first video from Jackie and then the next couple, that would be terrific. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a short video about how to create a user account with a MyGovID for our new Health Business Services portal. So MyGovID is simply an authentication app. It has nothing to do with MyGov, which is where you might go and check your tax return and apply for childcare rebates. So it's just an app that helps us make sure that it's you, and it helps us to protect your data. So Australian users will need a MyGovID with at least a standard identity strength. If you don't have one already, it would be a good idea to go and set that up ahead of time before you need to come and use the portal for the first time. Okay. So I'm going to be using our test environment here. So there's still a few things that haven't been finished off, that haven't been hooked up quite right, and quite a few cosmetic things that need to get cleaned up. So when we launch, I will have a lovely new landing page for you, but at the moment we're just using this one. And I'm going to show you how to create a user account, but I'm actually clicking login. Ignore that, you'll be going to sign up. But for now, this is how test is working. So this takes me to the MyGovID site. You just select MyGovID here, and you can actually tick this box which means it will remember you need to go to MyGovID and you don't need to see this screen again. And now we're in MyGovID. I just enter my MyGovID email address and click login. I take this code and use the MyGovID app on my phone to enter the code or accept the code. And then it will send me back to the Department of Health. And I'm giving my consent to give these details to the Department of Health. Now you can see here that it says date of birth, so we won't actually be bringing that across. You'll just be giving us your names and email address. Okay, that sends us back to the Department of Health, and we'll just give it a moment to load. Okay, now we will have the terms of use, which you can go and read and accept. And then we'll continue on. And it tells us that we just need a couple more details in order to set up your account. So we'll continue. I can provide a title if I want to. I can give a preferred name. So this is just a test account, so I'm going to put our own in here. And then I'm going to continue. I can provide a telephone number, which will be the one that we contact you on if there's ever anything we need to get in touch about. And then it's going to ask me about my contact email address. So your MyGov email address is very likely to be a personal one, and that is purely for logging in. We can use that as the best contact email for you for the portal if you like, or you can give us a different one. And you can just pop that in here. So I'm going to use this one. This is the email address that we will use for you to contact you as an individual. So it might be things like issues about logging in or about your personal contact details. So we strongly suggest that this email address, it can be a work one, but we do suggest that it's one that only you can access. So we'll click continue. It's giving me a chance just to see what I've entered here. I can go back and change it with the edit button if I want to. And then I just need to agree to the declaration and submit. And we're done. If I click the Get Started button, here we are in the portal. Okay, we're going to have a look at how to create a client account in the Health Business Services portal. So we're going to start here on the home page, which is the page you'll see when you log in. And we're going to go to our client accounts tile. Now remember, you log into the portal as an individual, and then you need to tell us which client account you're working for to do a transaction. So we're going to pop into this client accounts tile. Now in most cases, the client account will be for an organisation and you'll be working on behalf of an organisation in the portal. In some instances, people might be applying for a licence or a permit as an individual, not on behalf of an organisation. And in those instances, they would use the personal client account. So we're going to create an organisation client account. And when you come in here, you have a couple of options. So most Australian businesses will have an Australian business number. And if the organisation does have one, then you need to use the ABN pathway. That's an automated pathway. You don't need to provide us with any documentation. If you don't have an ABN, you can use an Australian company number or Australian registered business number. And in that case, you do need to provide some documentation as part of that process. And going forward, after our initial release in June, there will be another pathway added, which will be for overseas organisations. Now, for this demo, we're going to use the ABN pathway. And one of the important things to note if you do use the ABN pathway is that you need to make sure you're associated with the organisation in the Relationship Authorisation Manager, which is run by the Australian Taxation Office. And what that does is it tells us that you're authorised to act on behalf of this organisation. All right, we're going to click through. So what's happening here is it will take us to check our MyGovID credentials, and we'll just consent to sharing those. And then it's checking in RAM to see if we're associated with an organisation. And it has found one for this user, Aaron. So Aaron's associated with this organisation with a funny name, AT3AM IT Proprietary Limited. And you can see here that it says those details were sourced in RAM. Now, if you're associated with more than one organisation, you will need to choose which one you want to proceed with. Okay, this is telling us we just need a few more details. And confirming that we've got the right organisation. All right, so we need to provide some contact details here. So I'm going to pop in an email address for the organisation, a phone number. We also need a billing email address and a billing phone number. They can be the same if needed. We'll continue through here. And we need to provide a physical address or a street address. So I'm just going to put something a bit random in here. Add our address. And it's going to ask if we want to use that address as our postal address as well. So we're going to say yes in this case. If no, we can provide a different one. Now it's going to ask us which service to link to. So in June, we'll only have ODC, but going forward, then TGA and some other services will be onboarded. You can always link to more services later. And now it's asking for the administrator details. So if you're the person that's setting up a client account, you will become the administrator. And so what it's asking here is what contact details do you want us to use to contact you as the administrator for this organisation client account. So you can see here that it's pulled the contact details out from our user profile, and you'll remember that we asked you to provide an email address there for us to contact you as an individual. So you're welcome to use those email address and phone number here again for the client account if you want to, or if not, you can use some different contact details. And the thing to note here is that you can use an email address that only you access. So we've got Aaron at AT3AM, or you could use a group email inbox if you wanted to as well. For example, applications at AT3AM. So it's up to you what contact details you want to use here. We also want you to provide a job title for the client account. And we'll click through here. So this is just bringing up all the details that we've entered. You can go in and edit these if you want to. And if you're happy, you can tick the declaration boxes and submit your form. Okay, so we've used the ABM pathway. So this pathway is automated. And so your client account will pop into the home page and we'll have a look at that here. So now that you have created that organisation, you'll see that it's now popping up here as one of the options to choose. So when Aaron comes into the portal now, he has 3 options here. So he's a member for these 3 organisation client accounts, and he can go ahead and submit applications and do other transactions on behalf of that organisation. Now, one more thing to have a look at here is straight up here to manage client accounts. And what you'll see here is some of the things that the administrator can look after for that client account. So Aaron here is an administrator just for this one account, and he can go in and manage this account. So we'll pop in here, this is the AT3AM client account, and there's some tiles here where Aaron can go in and look at these. So some of the account details and the contact details that we've just entered in the form. We have the addresses here that have been entered. We don't allow editing of those just yet, but that will be something that will be coming in the future. And manage members. So this is where the administrator needs to add members to the client account and manage their access as well. So if Aaron wanted to invite a member to the client account, he would click on the invite member tile button here and complete this form. So to invite someone to a client account, that person needs to be already a user in the portal, and then you can invite them using their portal email address that they gave us when they created their user profile. You can write a message and you can make them a second administrator for the account if you need to. There is a maximum of 2 administrators per client account, and you can give them access to each of the services. So we only have ODC that this client account is linked to. So we'll click on give access, and you can give this person 1 or more roles. So we may give this person, say, the submitter role. Service functions are basically contact roles where you can indicate that a person would be the most appropriate contact for a particular activity. So it might be something like a recalls coordinator or something like that. Not all services will use them. If they're available, you'll be able to add those here. So we're going to confirm our selection. We'll be able to see that here, and then we can send the invite. Okay, now You'll see here, we're back on our Manage Members page here for the client account, and you can see here that we can now see that we've sent Geraldine an invitation. Okay, so we'll head back to our home page. All right, so there you go. You've now created a client account. And when we do select a client account and confirm the selection, you'll notice that we have another tile pop up. Okay, and this is the submissions tile. So we're just working on this functionality at the moment. And there will be some extra things that are built out here. But the intention is that when you choose a client account, you then get some information that pops up here that is specific to that client account. So once this is all up and running, we will select our business, AT3AM, and you'll be able to go in and manage all the submissions. So you'll be able to see the drafts and the submitted applications and see how they're tracking. We're going to have a look at how to accept an invitation to join a client account in the Health Business Services portal. We're going to start here on the home page, which is the page that you'll see when you log in. And we're going to go to our client accounts tile. So you'll remember that you log into the portal as an individual, and then you need to tell us which client account you're working for. In most cases, it will be an organisation client account, so you'll be working on behalf of that organisation. In some cases, you might use a personal client account if you're applying for, say, a licence or a permit as an individual. Now, we're going to check our invitations. We're going to come through here and have a look. So we can see that Aaron is a member of a couple of client accounts already, and he has an invitation to join another client account, Aura Health. So we're going to view the invitation. And you can see here the details for the invitation, the name of the client account, a message from the client account administrator, and we can see that we've been given access to the Office of Drug Control as a submitter. Now, you'll remember that when you created your user profile, you gave us some contact details that we would use to contact you as an individual for things like login issues. And here we're going to be asking you for some details about you in the context of this organisation that you're working for. So we're asking you for a job title, so the best fit from the options that you're given in the drop down there. And we're asking you what contact details would you like us to use when we contact you about issues to do with this client account. So for example, that might be some application that you've submitted on behalf of this organisation. You can use the same details that you gave us in your user profile if you like, or you can use some different details here. So I might like to here use office number perhaps, and for the contact email address, instead of my personal email address, I might like to use an address that is relevant to the organisation. So this one here. So this would be an email address that only I access. If I wanted to here, I could use a group email inbox. So for example, applications@arrow.com. I need to agree here with the declarations and then hit accept. And we'll see the message here, success, you've accepted an invitation to join the client account. We come back here to the home page, then you can see now that our health is available as one of the options when I do a transaction.
That's great. Thanks very much. I think Jackie, she's here joining us via video. We have just one more short video to share with you now. So Tanya will be talking to this video, and here we will be demonstrating the new form patterns and giving you just a really quick look at the underpinning case management solution. So while it will focus on the medical cannabis license, we're conscious that will only be relevant to a small number of people joining us today. It is really the patterns that we're really keen to share, and in later the next slides just give you a sense of how you can provide feedback, because we do really welcome your thoughts and feedback on everything you see today. So we'll pass to Tanya to do that. Just a couple of things to highlight on the following slide. So I might just pop to the next slide. That's terrific. Thank you. So here, these are the things we'll be sharing, and hopefully you'll sort of notice along the way that basic pre-population, validation, error messaging, modern look and feel, and some of the initial document upload work that's been done. So I'll pass, I think, directly, if the team's able to push play on our last video, that would be terrific. Thank you.
In this video, we are looking at the application form for a new medicinal cannabis license. I've logged in using my user profile, Jeremy Coughing, and the context I've set is Jamieson & Jones, which is the organisation I work for. On selecting apply, I'm taken to the first page of the form. I can enter a reference in the first field to allow for my internal tracking. The context I've set has set the organisation that I work for, Jamieson & Jones, as the applicant, and myself, Jeremy Coughing, as the contact. For this application, I'm going to select an alternate contact who can also be contacted about the application and who is also associated with the organisation, Jamieson & Jones. Mr. Harvey Wildenberg, whose details are shown for me to confirm before I press continue. On selecting continue, we're taken to the second page of the application form. On the left-hand side is the progress indicator. As each page of the application form is completed, it will be indicated on the progress tracker. Supporting documentation can be added to the application by using the file upload modal. Files can be added by browsing and selecting from a location, or files can be dragged and dropped from a location directly onto the modal. If a duplicate file is detected, an error message alerts the user and the file upload can be cancelled. Once files have been added to an application, they can easily be removed. Questions are presented with option select radio buttons, and where your yes response requires the applicant to provide additional details, a new field is provided to capture these details. A component of the fit and proper person check is the informed consent process. The application form allows the applicant to send an email invite to business associates of the applicant to complete an informed consent form. In this example, I'm going to send an email invite to the director of the organisation, Jamieson & Jones, Harvey Wildenberg. I'm going to indicate that Harvey is the primary director for the licence. If the user misses any required fields, An error message is presented to the user to enter the information before the email can be sent. Invitations can be edited, resent, or removed. Multiple invitations can be added to the one application. Our internal contact record for Harvey shows that he has been sent an invite by this organisation in relation to this application form. Harvey will receive an email with a link in it, which he can click and redeem. Harvey is required to log in to the Health Business Services and create an account in order to complete the informed consent process. Once Harvey has created an account, he is directed to the ICF tile. On selecting the ICF tile, Harvey is able to access the informed consent form that he is required to complete. Harvey does not need to enter his details or the details of the applicant, as these will be pre-filled for him. In order to complete this form, Harvey must acknowledge the declaration and submit the form. Validation is included in the application form to ensure that any mandatory questions have been answered by the respondent before they can select continue. This ensures that the data captured is consistent. I'm going to add a site and add the security details to this application. I can add a site by entering an address that exists. If I select an existing address, the details are pre-filled for me. If the physical address is not available, I can indicate this and I can provide the latitude and longitude of the parcel of land. I can add an authorised person to the site. Multiple sites can be added to a licence, and once sites are added, they can be edited or deleted. Progressing to the final page of this application form is the review and submit page. On this page, the applicant is presented with a compact design indicating all of the responses to all of the questions they have provided. The edit functionality allows the user to be able to go back to a part of the application that they wish to correct before they select to submit. In order to submit an application, all declarations must be agreed to, and all processes, such as the informed consent process, must be completed. If a form cannot be completed, it can be saved for later. This creates a draft of the application, which the user can return to and edit at a later point in time. In our internal case management system, we can see that this application has now been received, the applicant being Jamieson and Jones and the contact being Jeremy Coffing. As a case type medicinal cannabis licence, this case has been directed to the Medical Devices Management team to commence the evaluation process. Details provided by the applicant, including any documents that have been uploaded, are visible through the Applications tab. This case has had its initial pathway applied, and the first two action items have been applied, which enable a user to start commence work on this application. The Payments tab will indicate once the invoice has been paid, and the Outcome tab will hold the outcome of the case assessment process.
That's great. So, Nishi, I'll pass over to you. Go for it.
Thanks, Terry, and thank you to Jacqueline and Tanya for their demonstrations as well. We have, as previously mentioned at the very beginning, we have activated a survey for all of you to complete while Terry takes a small couple of second break to prepare for the next few slides. We do ask if you can please complete the survey that's activated. You should have it on your Slido on the right hand side, or you can use the QR code again to access from your mobile phones or from your computer using the link that's on the chat posted. So yeah, if you can please complete that. And Terry, whenever you're ready, you can hop back on for the next few slides.
Great. Thanks very much, Nishi. And yeah, please do take a few moments to complete the survey. That will be very helpful for us. We've popped a few questions at the end there, that we're looking forward to seeing what people have to let us know about. So I'll just perhaps onto the next slide. Well, we are toward the end of our session today, and just a couple of points on next steps. So thank you very much for joining us today to hear a little bit about how where we're up to in the TGA Transformation Program and the first release that we're working to mid-year. So unless you are an ODC user, there are no immediate actions to take from today. We'll be working closely with ODC users to ensure that they're supported to start using the new systems. But for everybody else, we hope you take away from this session a good sense of the work that's in train, the type of new experience that we're working to deliver for all of our TGA and ODC users, and a sense of some of the changes that are coming, and digital ID, a move to digital ID is one of them. We do expect to later in 2024 start onboarding our next users. We'll have a little bit more to say about that in coming months, and we will be looking at options that minimise disruption and take on board feedback from the first release and other sources that we have in train. And it will be the case that old and new systems will exist in parallel for some time, and we're really keen to look at options which make that as seamless as possible. For example, is there a single sign-on opportunity, even if it sort of then carves off a level down? Those are the sorts of things that we'd like to do a little bit more on and share in our next update to this group. And also to get feedback from our industry working group on options there that might work best for industry and for users. So perhaps moving to the next one, feedback. We really welcome feedback and engagement. It will be absolutely critical to the success of the program, and because we're delivering in stages, there will be lots of opportunities for feedback to shape the work that occurs, and we're really keen to take that opportunity. So there's just a few ways on this slide, a few options to get involved. So the first is, if you are interested in participating in future rounds of testing and feedback, and this is a cycle of testing and feedback that we expect to mature over the rest of this year, please do let us know. Our email address is on this slide. We welcome feedback by email on anything you've seen today, anything that you think will be useful for us to know about. Please do send us an email. We have also started doing a bi-monthly, every 2 months email, which is an update on the program. We'll include links to key things when we have them, and that's a great way to just stay in touch with what's happening in the program. And also there will be reminders or more information on further testing and feedback opportunities, with a bit more on what those will cover, so you'll get a sense of if they are relevant to you and you would like to participate. We'll also continue to regularly join existing engagement groups that a number of areas in the TGA and Office of Drug Control already have. So we're really happy to come along to those sessions. If there's particular things you'd like to hear about, again, please do let us know, and we will do our best to cover those off. And I'd just like to end by taking this opportunity just to thank the team for their work to put together the demonstrations today, to Jackie and to Tanya, who we heard from, to the teams who are sort of making the work that they shared possible, and Sarah, Luce and Emily for their help with the session today, as well as the TGA Learn team So we do have a few minutes. So if you're able to spend a little bit of time on the feedback form, that would be very much appreciated. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining the session today, and please do feel free to send us an email with any feedback or initial reflections. That's it from me. I'll pass back to the TGA team for any final housekeeping, yeah, looking forward to sharing the next update with you in coming months later this year.
Thank you, Terry. Yeah, again, as Terry mentioned, take your time completing the survey that is activated. Your contact details are here, which we've also posted onto the chat. Feel free to send through any questions if you have to Terry and the team through this email address. We've also got some social media details here, which we will also pop on the chat. Make sure to check our social media pages out and keep up to date with all TGA updates. And that is all from me from this end. Thank you very much for joining us today, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.